Hey guys, it is week 2 of Super Rugby AU or Super Rugby Australia. It is very windy in Bloemfontein at the moment, so if the neighbor's dog does bark, just ignore it. She does not like the wind apparently. So there's 4 matches this weekend, which is next to me. 2 of which is going to be in this video. It's the 2 Australian games. I'll also leave the time tags somewhere here next to me, or you can just scroll down here if you want to skip ahead to the specific game that you want to watch. The standings that we have so far this season: after one round, the Brumbies are leading with the Reds just behind them, the Waratahs, the Force, and then the Rebels. The first game this weekend for the Australians is the Rebels versus the Reds. It is on Friday morning over here in South Africa. The other times you can find in the beginning of the video. The Rebels are currently stuck on the road, so they can't really return home because the spread of the virus is a little bit more in their specific province. So this home game for them against the Rebels is actually in Waratahs country in New South Wales in the Brookvale Oval, and it's actually better for the Reds, I would say, because they played in Sydney last weekend, so they didn't need to travel at all. The conditions for this game is broken clouds, 12 degrees Celsius and 11 km/h wind, so not that bad. And the referee for this game, Damon Murphy, I don't know a lot about him, so I can't really say much about him. The last 10 head-to-head fixtures, the 6 games have been won by the Rebels. The all-time wins are in favour of the Reds though. Bookies can't split it really. I have tried to figure it out, but basically it's split between different sites. It does favour the Rebels by 1 point though. The Rebels made one change to their team, with Hodge going onto the bench with Magnay coming in. He brings a little bit more physicality to that number 13 position. This could work because with the Rebels a lot of times it looks like there's a lot of playmakers on the park, not a lot of guys just doing their job, running into guys, trying to round off tries, that type of stuff. So it's good. I think it might work for them. The scrum half battle I think is going to be a good one with Lawrence versus McDermott. Both of them have been in fine fettle so far this season. Then the biggest matchup this weekend I think is going to be Toomua versus O'Connor. People have been talking about Lolosio and Harrison for the number 10 jersey in Australia, but you shouldn't forget about these 2 veterans of the game, O'Connor and Toomua. They will want to prove what they can do and just get the upper hand over each other. Then another big matchup to watch out for is Paisami versus Magnay, which will be a very physical matchup I think, and the 2 danger men outside, Daigunu and Kiribeti, will probably score a try. Kiribeti, he struggled to get into the game last weekend though. The rest of the back threes for both sides are good. The Reds, they do struggle a little bit with their goal kicking though from Hegarty. So O'Connor stepped up at the end of the game last weekend and they did win at the end. So a lot of times the Reds do lose a game because they do miss a lot of goal kicks. Then at scrum time, the Reds were dominant last week, so Gibbon will have to stand his ground against Tupou. The Reds lineout also went pretty well last weekend, and I expect a little bit more from the Rebels as Phillip and Stolberg, or Stolberg probably in Australia. I expect more from them because I was excited to see Stolberg in Australia coming from the Sunwolves, but that didn't live up to expectations. But I think maybe the second week in it will go better. The Rebels loose forward may also have a battle on their hands, with the loose forwards of the Reds, Wright, McWright and then Wilson, all being in a very good form last weekend as well. So up front in the scrums, loose forward battle and in lineouts, I think the Reds do have the upper hand. Then on the benches, Hodge will come off it for the Rebels, and as I said, he is a big factor for them, and I think it is going to be a special kind of thing for them bringing him off the bench because he can just slot in anywhere they do need him. Other guys that do stand out for the Rebels, Ainsley, he is a guy that will have to bring his best foot forward as well when he comes to the scrums. But other than that, there's not a lot of guys for the Rebels that do stand out, except maybe Lumani, who hasn't really shown what he can do. The Reds number 16 and 17 coming up is also very good. They have really dominated when they came on. And then they also have Scott Young and Faiaway Sotia, who are also impact players coming on. To me, up front, the Reds will dominate a little bit more than the Rebels. In the backs, though, it is going to be a little bit more close. Though with the Rebels, they did now switch out a little bit. This week, they could click into gear because it hasn't worked yet for them. But to me, it is solid up front for the Reds, and that's just enough for them. That will get them over the line, and I think the Reds will win by 5 points. The next Australian match we'll see is also on Saturday. The Force will take on the Waratahs in their first game back in Super Rugby since 2017. It is going to be a difficult one to actually call because I haven't seen much of the Force. I did do a lot of research now as well, but since 2017, we haven't seen much of them. The Waratahs haven't seen much of them either. The media in Australia looks like they haven't seen much of them either because you barely get anything from it. But they are playing in Sydney Cricket Ground, light rain, 16 degrees Celsius, so not the best running rugby in Australia. Angus Gardner, the best referee in Super Rugby, probably, if I had to say, is the referee for the game. And the Western Force probably have the advantage for this one of being the unknown factor in this one. Like I said, not even the Australian media looks like they know what's going on with the Western Force. History, though, next to me, you can probably just discard that because no one really can still count on that. The bookies do have the Waratahs to win by 10 points, but it is a difficult one to call. As we go to the teams, you can see there's no changes in the starting 15 for the Waratahs, while the Force have a couple of recognizable faces. So I will do my best to dissect this team next to me, especially the Force, because yeah, I don't know much of them. You guys can help me in the comments, please, if I do get something wrong or miss something very important as a Force fan. The Force have the very experienced Kieran Longbottom in the props, which will go up against Bell, who kind of struggled last week against Tupou. So this battle might be pretty interesting up front. As for the second row, former All Black Jeremy Thrush is in there for the Force as well, and that's a good lock battle for him, but he will have a big battle up against the two Wallabies in Simmons and Hannigan. The loose forward battle could also be a good one, with the Force being known for having good loose forwards always in their team. I mean, Pocock started there. They have the Samoan Stowers in their team. They also have the strong carrying number 8 Raging Bull, I think that was his nickname, Standard at number 8. And they are up against Swinton, who, yeah, he was questionable last week. He's kind of like a Bucky's Botha character, always in niggles and fights and stuff. Then Hooper, everyone knows what to expect from Michael Hooper, and then Harris for the Waratahs. In the back line, the 9-10 combo is in the favor of the Force as well. They have a lot of experience there. They do have Pryor in there, who has been there ever since. And then Lance, who is the new signing for their side. Jono Lance has been in good form ever since leaving Australia and going to the Northern Hemisphere. Lance is up against Harrison, though, who is a future star for the Wallabies. He does have very good decision-making skills and is a very good goal kicker, to be honest. He slotted a pretty far one last weekend, so he's a good one there. Walton remains at number 12. I think they hoped for Hunt to be back there, but he is on the bench, so he's probably just not good enough yet to be in the starting team. And then he is up against Uester, or however you pronounce it in Australia. Brachi is in at number 13. He is a USA international, or actually their captain, but he is a South African playing in Australia, so very confusing story behind him. I've always liked him, especially when he broke onto the scene. He was a very good winger / center, very fast as well, very good leadership skills. So good guy to have in your number 13s against Newsom, who's also a very dangerous number 13. The back three for the Waratahs, I do think have the upper hand here. Nawakwanita Wase will want to continue his form from before the break. Last weekend he wasn't that brilliant, but Maddox, he was brilliant at number 15, stepping into Beale's spot, who left for France. So Maddox will want to continue from that. I think that was that one cover tackle where he ran after McDermott. So he's just stepping up and doing his thing at the number 15. The two other new signings for the Force in Holmes and Godwin is on the bench. They said they want to manage their fitness a little bit. So both will make an impact from the bench. Staniforth, Dempsey and Hunt, they're probably the impact players for the Waratahs. And it's probably a difficult game to back the Force because I just don't know anything about them. No one seems to know much about them. So I'd say the Waratahs playing in Sydney, I'd back them by 12 points, but I think there's a couple of very loyal fans, Force fans, who will back them in the comments below. Guys, let me know your predictions for this weekend down in the comments below. Also, check out any of these other videos if you want to check out the New Zealand predictions as well. It will pop out up here next to me. And then I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.